Hello, my name's Julie and I'm a Christmas magazine addict. If you love all things Christmas too, with flower arranging and trips to the charity shop thrown in, why don't you consider subscribing to my channel? All you need to do is to hit the red button marked subscribe, and that means next time you open the YouTube app on your phone, your laptop or your computer, one of my videos will be waiting for you. So far this year, I've bought Country Homes, which I think came with a free copy of this magazine, Country Christmas, The English Home, and Homes and Antiques. And if you're already a member of my YouTube channel, you'll have seen me flicking through the pages of the Country Lane Christmas edition. And just think about it, I spent a fortune on magazines so that you don't have to. So it's time to put the kettle on, light a candle and sit back and relax. And when you come across something that inspires you, why don't you take a screenshot and then post it in my free Facebook group and we can compare notes. You'll find a link to my group, Flower Start World, in the notes underneath this video. Right then, let's cosy up. It's a very wet and windy autumn day here, so it's lovely to look forward to all things Christmas. Shall we start with Homes and Antiques first? I'm very lucky that I've got this magazine on subscription. It was a gift from one of my sisters. I just absolutely love that front cover. It's given me some great ideas about colour combinations. The rich teal blue of the tablecloth, which is repeated in the glassware. And can you see here the candle? A little candle clip. And it's been attached to what looks like a pomegranate. I bet that took some trickery there to try and get the candle to stay upright. And then a pretty little Christmas tree with some dried sliced oranges, and then something I would love to be able to do, creating a chandelier. But just be candle safe. Got those ribbons perilously close to that lit frame. And I think that's the thing to remember whenever you look through a magazine. The stylist is on hand to make sure there are no accidents. Style and shopping. Now this picture here is giving me some ideas. Can you see the grey tablecloth underneath, and then this length of fabric? It almost looks like a red leopard print, or perhaps they're supposed to be poppies. And I'm thinking I might do the reverse on my Christmas table. I've already got a red tablecloth with a sort of Scandi trim around the edge, but perhaps I should look out for some fabric in a contrasting colour and throw that over the top. Notice how the red here is picking up on the red paint of the little chair, a bowl full of pomegranates, a pair of candles placed together and the lamp. So it has reminiscent slightly of my own dining room with my round table and my mantelpiece, or it's not, although it's not quite so grand. And just look at that, the huge door wreath put up on the wall there. Now on our chimney breast I've specifically hung all our pictures using command hooks and strips so that I can take them down and then make use of the space above my mantelpiece. So perhaps I might consider making an oversized wreath to enjoy indoors. It just looks glorious, doesn't it? And the vibrancy of this page here, not Christmas at all, it's an advert for a clothing company, but I have just got a catalogue from this company and I'm thinking as such good quality pages, it would be really great for a crafting project. So for those of you who are a member of my YouTube group, watch on to the end of the video and I'll share a little bit of Christmas origami with you. Don't be put off, it's really simple. All you need to do is have 5 sheets of square paper, a teaspoon and some stick glue. And the trend for wrapping paper this year tends to have bold patterns in it. They sort of look in the style of an Indian block print. I don't know whether you remember when I went to the Midsummer Wealden Fair here in Kent at Hull Park. And we saw so many things that were block printed, from fabrics, dresses and skirts, through to a company that sold the printing kits, so you could stamp up whatever you liked. I'll make sure I leave a link to that video in the notes under this one. These are pine cones, a vintage Christmas bauble, and a little sprig of rose hips, and I think those are the exact rose hips that I picked from my garden last week. Are you following along with my Gardening from Scratch series? Again, I'll leave a link to the playlist in the description underneath this video. And who doesn't love a bit of Emma Bridgewater at Christmas time? With a similar pattern to this, 4 plates without the robin. So we visited the Emma Bridgewater factory when we went up to Stoke-on-Trent earlier in the year. And if you love things all pottery, do check out my video from Burley Pottery and also from the Wedgwood factory. I'll leave details of them in the notes underneath this video. Oh, and here's that page that made it to the front cover. Doesn't it look so inviting? A really luxurious colour combination. Check out the round Christmas pudding there. Dried orange slices on the crackers. There's just so much to look at. And they've got the Scandi vibe here of the plain red and white, but with a bit more richness in terms of the level of pattern. And then the Advent crown with the 5 candles, one for each of the Sundays before Christmas and then Christmas Day itself. And the bang on trend with my collection of vintage transferware. These are both spode in red, I think that's called cranberry, and green. So it really is rich ruby tones that are being featured in the Homes and Antiques. This little candle holder here with a dish around the edge, a great place for some dried orange slices and perhaps a few small pine cones, and candles which are mismatched in style, twisted tapers, straight tapers, and a whole array of colours. And then that glorious chandelier flower crown hanging down from the ceiling. I'd love to do this in my home, but I've just got absolutely nowhere that I could hang a chandelier from. And who doesn't like a Christmas story? And I am the queen of Christmas stories. And if you'd like to know how to make your wreath, I do have a playlist of all sorts of wreaths that you can make throughout the year, and I'll make sure I leave a link to that in the description underneath the video. And if you love all things Christmas, I do have a Christmas flower arranging club here on YouTube. If you click through to that join button for my YouTube membership channel and then pay your joining fee straight to YouTube. I quite like the orange here, not only in the colour of the oranges of satsumas, but also the pyracantha berries. But these berries have some serious thorns on them, so just be careful what you decide to put into your door wreath. You may find it very difficult to work with, and in fact I never put holly in my door wreaths. I find it too prickly. So here we've got some lichen covered branches, some dried hydrangea, some buried ivy, the pyracantha, skimmia. And notice the ribbon, there's no bow, it's just been loosely tied and the edges left to fray. Lovely pared back look here. Hardly any lights on this Christmas tree, but it still looks beautiful. And perhaps more of a traditional look here with the reds. And you see how sparsely the tree's been decorated. I've been watching a lot of American YouTubers decorating their Christmas trees, and they seem to pack them out much more than we do here in England. So if you're one of my American viewers, let me know in the comments whether you like this pared back look or whether you are all about adding in extra garlands and Christmas pics. You can see how it's all been beautifully styled. A real tree with just a few simple gingham bows. Notice the red and white curtains hanging up, the single present red and white, all beautifully put together. And look at this for a beautiful light airy space. The centrepiece packed with amaryllis. I've been wanting to do a similar thing at home, but I'm finding the amaryllis bulbs are very expensive, at least 10, 12, 15 pounds a bulb. And see how you can manage to look festive with hardly anything in the room at all. I think it's the red and white with the cushions here, the stripy pink and white, the lampshade, the red base, a tiny little woodland cyclamen, a little bit of candlelight, and when you look in the cupboard doors, is that a candle or a bottle brush tree? I'm not quite sure. So a really subtle look, it still looks festive. And some lovely frosty scenes here. The North Yorkshire countryside. Very familiar scene to me, as that's where my parents lived for 20 or more years. I haven't bought the Country Living December magazine, but I did buy Country Living Christmas, and that's a special video that I've posted in the membership section of my YouTube group. So if you're not already a member, a perfect reason to sign up. And if you are a member, you might want to indulge yourself and have a look at that video again after this one. This is a new magazine to me, The English Home, the special Christmas edition. Merry and bright, pared back look in the front there with a Christmas tree. It looks like that's an artificial one. The shape is far too perfect, sitting in that bay window. Now the thing about buying loads of magazines is sometimes you come across duplicate articles, and I'm sure I've seen this article about the Queen of Christmas, Gisela Graham, in another magazine. You might recognise that name. She does make Christmas decorations and all sorts of other decorations throughout the year. She's been in business for 40 years, so I guess she's doing a little bit of PR. This is what I absolutely love. A double page spread to get absolutely lost in. And look, if you do nothing else this Christmas, make sure you display your mince pies for your guests in the shape of a wreath. So a large serving dish with a little bit of eucalyptus around the edge, and just a circle of mince pies. I love it when it just has the little stars. It always reminds me of making mince pies with my mum when we ran out of pastry and we couldn't do full lids. So she had a tiny little star stamp, and we topped the last of our mince pies with stars, and they were always the first ones to be eaten. And you see the theme here of mismatched candlesticks and candle colours. So you don't need to have all your candles white or green or red. You can mix it up a little bit, and it certainly looks festive, although they've used quite muted tones. And see how sparsely the Christmas decorations have been hung on the tree, and barely any lights. Now for me, this is the hallway of dreams. My perfect house would have a hallway that was big enough to have a Christmas tree at the foot of the stairs. You see the stars there? That's very similar to the origami star I'm going to make as a special bit of bonus footage for those of you who are members of my YouTube group. And if that doesn't spark joy, what else does? So the Christmas wrapping paper again, reminiscent of the Indian block prints. You see here a glass of champagne, 2 little bottle brush trees, just bowls of fruit, little things that you can do to make your house feel really welcoming and festive. Quite a modern look here. Beautiful garland over the mantelpiece. The jug of flowers on the table, so that's a white ceramic jug. Just trying to work out what the white flowers are here. Perhaps they're berries. And of course these pictures will have all been taken in the height of summer. There's such a long lead-in time for the publication of Christmas magazines. And look, this is a very familiar scene to me. This is a cottage in Sussex, a Wealdon Hall house. This is quite a familiar look inside our pubs with the beams, the huge fireplaces, and then the hops hanging down, which is what the beer is made from. And this one has little twinkly lights running through it. I wouldn't have liked to have that job, but because the time those lights were put up, the hops will have started to dry, and I bet there would have been a huge mess on the floor with the little petals falling. Oh, I've just realised this is a lady I follow on Instagram. I think she's called Mrs. Trufflepig. Obviously, that's not her real name. It's Genevieve Harris. So a lovely Christmas tree there with the addition of bows with long tails, but she's bang on trend with her Christmas wrapping, mainly red and white with that heavy Indian block print, look. And if all that red is just too much for you, again, another pared back look. This looks to be the Christmas crockery from Spode. A little bit of a door wreath propped up. Well, it's not a door wreath, it's a wreath that's in a window. Tiny little willow star. So very festive, but pared back. Quite nice, a light and airy look. And look, Christmas crackers. Who can't resist a Christmas cracker being pulled when you're eating your Christmas dinner? And on that controversial subject, do you pull your crackers before you start eating or towards the end of your meal? This is one idea that I'm thinking of though. Asymmetry is in trend at the moment. And I've already told you we've got a mantelpiece in our dining room which I keep bare. I'm just wondering whether I should take the pictures off that I attach with command hooks and make myself a garland to run up the side of the chimney breast and then across the top. I'll just have to see how the mood takes me. And if I was going to do that, I would probably use an artificial garland as the base and then add in the fresh materials. It is so time consuming making a fresh garland from scratch. And experience has taught me that in the warmth of your living room, it very quickly dries out and doesn't look quite as lush as this does. So that's definitely one that I'm going to rip out and put in my Christmas inspiration folder. And on the subject of my Christmas inspiration folder, I don't keep all my magazines intact anymore. I rip out the pages that interest me. So I've got some loose pages here that I'm all set to file. And that keeps me busy. But sometimes there's nothing I want to watch on telly or I haven't got a book on the go. I can flick through my magazines from yesteryear. Heavenly sleep, do you decorate in your bedroom? I'm not quite sure whether I'd want a garland over my head. I think I'd be waking up on. I don't think I get any sleep and worried that it might fall on my head. But this year, because we had a bit of a change around, I might put a vase of festive greenery in my bedroom and perhaps just a single decoration or even a bowl of vintage baubles just to get me in the Christmas mood. So do you need some advice about what to do in December? So look at this. This is the kind of tree we had as children, but not as tall as this. There was always a sparse gap in it. And I can remember my parents not wanting to put the Christmas tree up until very close to Christmas Eve. And we children would walk into town with my dad and we'd pick up the Christmas tree from the local greengrocer. And it was just picking out the runt of the litter, really. So we loved doing it and carrying the tree home, but it was never a perfect tree. We always had to turn it around so you couldn't see the bare branches. Now this gives me an idea. I've recently been to the charity shop and picked up a raised pedestal plate like this. I'm thinking, isn't that an easy way to make a festive Christmas decoration? A large pillar candle, some oddments of some Christmas baubles, a little bit of foliage, some pine cones, and a stem of poinsettia. And I guess that's sitting in a little bud vase. So now's the time just to start thinking what you could do to decorate at home. And it doesn't have to be over the top. Just start collecting a few festive goodies. That lovely chair there with a bowl of fruit and pine cones. I think I might do something like this in my kitchen this year. I've got a peg rail in my kitchen. I do like to change things up and hang things from the hooks. So I may well go on a winter walk and see what I can find. There's teasel there, offcuts of Christmas tree, some little Christmas decorations and stars. I don't think I've bought this magazine before, Country Homes and Interiors, and it had a free magazine with it. But when I flick through this magazine, I think it just seems to be the pictures of what's in the main magazine. So shall we skip the main magazine and go to the special Christmas supplement. Country Christmas. And I suppose I'm quite lucky because I do live in a very small market town, and literally 5-minute walk from my front door I'm in the countryside. So I've got ready access to lovely countryside walks and plenty of foraging opportunities. Now this is something I quite like. Putting a tray of things together, corralling your Christmas. And putting things on a tray just means that when you want to clear the surface, you don't have to pick everything off individually. You just lift the tray off and do it all in one go. I quite like this idea of mini Christmas trees with a little candle there, a pine cone, just a collection of odds and ends. Another brightly lit, sparse space. And look indeed at that fairy tale cottage with its thatched roof. And another garland here featuring dried orange slices, but I think it's mixed citrus. Can you see some greens there, and perhaps limes and grapefruit? And then the dried oranges here. You can dry them yourself, but I would honestly say the faff involved, I would buy them and save yourself the trouble. Oh, deck the halls. This looks much more my style. Now, I did mention why not putting some of your favourite vintage baubles in a bowl, just like this. So I recently picked up a copper bowl from the charity shop. I paid a whopping £10 for it, but I'm so pleased I did. I'm going to look forward to putting some of my mum's Christmas baubles in the bowl. And perhaps that will be the bowl I bring up to display in my bedroom. What do you think about this? More amaryllis, looking gorgeous. And creating this sort of gift-tied look to your front door. I do think the ribbon there is a little bit mean. It looks more like a crucifix than a package that's been wrapped up. If it was me, I would have used a much wider ribbon, perhaps even the really wide tulle netting, just to create more of an impact. And I think where the two lengths of ribbon are crossed, I would have just lifted up the door wreath a little bit, but I guess that's where the hook for the door wreath is, and they placed the ribbons here because it fits in with the panelling of the doors. Beautiful amaryllis. We can go buy those in the run-up to Christmas, and shortly afterwards the flower seller in town sells them by the stem, but I'm quite keen on growing my own this year. And look here, just tumbling pomegranates into a hurricane vase there. You could do the same with bright red apples. Again, that's that lovely hallway there. Big enough for a console table with all the banisters exposed, so you can do a fabulous garland. That's just not the setup in my house, though. Lovely reds and whites, block printed wrapping paper again. Just a moody look there. And look, if you don't want to go full on Christmas tree, just pick a few bare branches, put them into a vase, and add some of your favourite Christmas decorations on top. And this here, look, for a woodland look. I think this looks absolutely fabulous. But is it wholly practical? So a placemat made of moss. It does look gorgeous. I just think you're going to end up with strands of moss all over the tablecloth. Midnight frost. So a lovely little setting here again in a super large hall. Space for a small bench, a Christmas tree and an armchair. Again, this is more my style. Drawn towards either the reds or whites or something a little bit richer. See how vibrant the candles are. Mismatched colours, different containers. Very skimpy looking Christmas trees. And the fashion again is for very long, narrow ribbons. Not so much of the big bows on wired ribbon. And then on to the food. I'm skipping the foods because I'm very traditional. I want the same thing every year. That reminds me that it's Christmas time. Right then, I'm going to make another cup of tea and start ripping out my favourite pages and adding them to my Christmas lookbook. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to let me know in the comments which was your favourite project and what has inspired you most. And before I go, don't forget to think about joining my special YouTube membership group. And the advantage of joining the group, there's always a little bit of bonus footage and you can watch my uploads a little bit ahead of time without the adverts. And today's bonus footage is all about me ripping up one of my magazines to make an origami star. It's quite addictive. I've got loads of them already. That's all for me for now, and I'll see you again next time.